Yeah, hi, my name is Rami from the technical Linux blog, which is www.techieguides.net. Today I'm going to show you. Last time I had a problem whereby it didn't record the setup of the nagios network monitoring tool correctly, so I'm just redoing it again for you. Now I'm just using an putty, which is like an SSH client. Now in here I'm going to do sudo apt-get install space nagios space nagios dash nrpb dash plugin. I'm going to press enter. It will just ask for my root password. I'll just start downloading it for you. As you can see, it will just ask you, do you want to download and install it? Just click yes, and it'll start doing its fancy things for you. I said there are other network monitoring tools. This is just one of the videos I'm actually doing at the moment as a tutorial. You do have other ones such as Cacti and Zabbix as well, which I've given instructions on how to do those. But I'm just gonna wait until this completes, and then of course it will be then doing the configuration, etc. So that's now completed. Now it's coming and saying to do sudo apt-get update to fix a few errors. So apart from having to spell it correctly, just let it check, do what it needs to do. You don't have to run it again because I've already done it. So now I'm actually copying and pasting the code initially. So I said I've done this part here. Now once I've done this, it's just setting the password for the actual nagios system itself, because the user or the admin user is nagios admin. So I'm going to do sudo space htpawsswd, which is short for password, /etc/nagios3, because that's the version, /httpawsswd.users space nagios admin. Press enter. It will ask you for a new password. So I'm going to use the same password I use for other systems, just to make it simple, rather than making it difficult and then memorizing like 10 dozen passwords, which will then drive you up the wall. So that's now basically saying that the password has been changed successfully. That's not everything. So you can do, as I said here, you can add a user and all that, vice versa. If it's on you using the machine, no point. Next, I'm just gonna copy this, which is installing the actual server itself. So it'll be sudo space apt-get space install space nagios nrpe server. This is the actual server. So let it just download. Right. So this is that starts saying to start the service. You're gonna do. So it's actually starting at the moment. Don't worry, this is not the full configuration yet, so we haven't even got there. Now what we need to do here is copy this. So it'll be that one. All you're doing is copying the configuration file. So it's sudo space cp, which is for copy, /etc/nagios3 /conf.d / and the file, which is the LOCA the _t_nagios 2.cfg, and then I'm copying that to etc nagios 3 conf.d server 002.cfg. So I'm creating a file called server2.cfg. Press enter. So that's now basically the file created, in which case we're going to have to edit this particular file, which is the server 02.cfg. Now you could do it two ways. You could either go into the directory itself and then do the so I'm going to just paste this. So you could either go into cd space etc space /nagios3 /conf.d and then do, you know, sudo vi server 02.cfg, or you could just type it as I've done, which is sudo vi /etc /nagios3 /conf.d, because that's where all the services start, /server 02.cfg. Press enter. As you can see, it'll take you to a configuration file itself. Now what I'm going to be changing here is the host information. As you can see, it is set to localhost. You can leave it as localhost if you wanted to. However, I'm going to be changing the IP address. Now if you're using VI, you can do Shift and A, and then you just use the backspace and delete what's there. So my IP address is 192.168.1.64. The alias, of course, should be com. Correct. Just confirm it. Yeah. Oh yeah. My mistake is actually server 02. Right. So if we just correct it. Server 02. The same for the above. Server 02. Right, I'm just gonna make sure there's nothing else that I'm missing, because that's the default host. Right. Yep. So that's fine. So as that's all it is. Then you're gonna do escape on your keyboard, shift and colon to take you to the bottom of the screen. You're gonna then type in WNQ, which is for basically quit and save. Press enter, and it'll take you back to the terminal itself. Now this is what I'm going to be running to restart Nagios. You could do it two ways. You could either do sudo space service space nagios3 space restart, or you could do sudo space /init.d /nagios nagios3, etc. So you can do it that way, but this is the simplest method. And as you can see, it's returned no errors on the right hand side, so it says everything is okay. So that should be everything up and running, and the server up and running. So if I were to access it via the IP address, then of course that should be fine. So let's just do this. Right, so IP address nagios3. So it should do everything else, but as I said, So I'm just going to do 92.168.64/nagios3. When it loads, as you can see, it comes with this box. So you're going to do nagios admin followed by the password if you did change the password, and then log in, and that's your nagios. Literally, as you can see, you've got all the list of options here. So server, so it gives you certain things, so you can configure this, like change it accordingly. And then, as I said, so it is in detail, so there is a lot of things on here. But other than that, as I said, you just have to go through each. You do have a documentation link here, which say not found, which is surprising enough. But as I said, all you have to do when you go through each of the options, you shouldn't literally know by reading it what it actually refers to. And then of course you can then change it. Now I'm not using localhost, but as you could see, it's saying here mentioning localhost with a round circle, which indicates I'm not really using it because I've changed it. But that's all it is. I'll just close that down, and then that's literally your nagios installed and set up. I have given instructions here if you have problems with the web interface. So if you can't access it through the IP address, or there's a problem, then it'll be sudo make install webconf. I didn't have to do that at all. As you can see, it just started working. I have given instruction on how to uninstall nagios from the system. So I said if you ever have problems or you don't want it anymore, this is the instruction on how to remove it. But other than that, as I said, that's literally your system up and running. So as I said, just to recap what we did here was a sudo apt-get install nagios3 space nagios-nrp-plugin, followed by, of course, you had to change the password, which is using this command, which is sudo ht password /etc/nagios3 /ht password.users nagios admin. Then of course it was installing the nagios server itself using apt-get install nagios-nrpe-server. Then of course it was copying the file, the configuration file, from one location to another. So basically it was copy etc nagios3 conf.d and then the localhost underscore nagios2.cfg, and we're copying that into etc nagios3 conf.d / so into a file called server02.cfg. Then of course we did vi etc nagios3 conf.d server02.cfg, so we were editing the file so we could then change it from localhost to server02 instead. And then of course after that it was restarting the service using sudo service nagios3 restart, and then that was that. Hope the article was useful, hope it was understanding, and as the nagios is not a bad networking monitoring tool, it is pretty good. As you can see, it does have some technical features and a lot of features in there. I will be doing an article on the others, hopefully at some point, but as I said, hope this was interesting. Take care. Bye bye.